How's it going, my lovely Death Disciples? I am the Shattered Reaper, and today we're going to be getting back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante after the Wicked Eyes, Wicked Hearts chapter in Dragon Age Inquisition. We are now still in the capital city of Eterna, but last time we were prevented from entering the college, and because we did not have enough nobility, nor did we have enough theology, we were not able to take the lots of the clergy, nor were we able to continue with the lot of nobility. So now we are still just a simple commoner, and of course, this displeased my father and my brother Stefan, because I came specifically to continue my path of nobility, but that didn't happen. So, now I have instead decided to join forces with the forces of chaos, or, well, the revolutionary force of the Lotless. And we had just saved some of the students who were held hostage at the college, and we also had just started a scheming plot to try and get more people to join the Lotless Revolution. And now we are 18 years old, and it is the year 1136 winter, the trial of the 50. So let us continue onward and see what is going to happen now. You have lived another year in the capital. Eterna has been shaken by what is now known as the trial of the 50. 50 people stand trial at once, all prominent members of several political circles. They are accused of treason and conspiracy against the crown. Wait, the crown? Don't you mean the empire or the imperial? The crown is a kingdom term. Or against the imperial throne, that would have been what I'd go for. But the crown, that just sounds so basic and like a lowly king instead of an empire. Like, seriously, come on, everybody knows this. Basic. The accused spoke in favor of reducing the power of the nobles and granting more rights to the common estate. There was no mention of rebellion, yet those words alone were enough to indict them. Every session of the trial is open to the public. Okay, so if I did continue on the nobility path, I would have been a part of judging these people on whether this is a thing for the whether I indict them or not. Or whatever. It is a show of power made to discourage people from forming such circles ever again. You attend one of these sessions. The 50 face their verdict: forced labor in the mines of Magra and Illyria for regular members, and true death for their leaders, 6 men and 1 woman. Their public execution takes place in the central square of Eterna. You remember the woman. Her name was Ani Serene. She made a speech before her execution. A young woman, not too tall, her face almost plain, with long bangs over her eyes. She looks calm, even at this moment. You cannot believe she is about to leave this world forever. Ani Serene takes a look around before she speaks. Her voice is quiet, but you are close enough to hear every single word. She says she is happy to give her lives fighting for the rights of the people. Her cause will never die. Ani claims others like her, will continue their work in hiding, for their cause is right and just. Oh, you have no idea how right you are. She is dragged away to the others. They put a sack over her head and tighten a noose around her neck. A hand yanks on the lever and the 7 dangle in the air. Their feet tremble at first, then grow still. There are gasps and cries of discontent in the crowd. Power -1 struggle for power. Current balance in the power in Magra. Again, not entirely sure why this is about Magra, but order has went up by 1 though. The ranks of the Lotless are growing steadily now. It's getting harder and harder to breathe in your makeshift meeting hall. People are coming from all across Eterna. Most of them are commoners, laborers, craftsmen, eager students, and all of them feel that the social order based on the lots is out of date. They are always discussing this, both at the major meetings and one-on-one. How can you change society without taking up arms? How can you defend those who are suffering at the nobles' hands? You write several articles for a newspaper that is sympathetic to your cause. You cover the pages of the Imperial Sunrise with freedom-loving ideas, but before your words reach the printed page, you let Sophia read them. I like your articles. They really sting. They burn with genuine favor and true audacity. Most importantly, You've been calling for action more and more. Our cause is just, and I know it well. But your words light a fire in men's hearts. They bring hope for change. I'd never be able to do this without you, Brante. Thank you. It's time for another meeting for the Lawless. Sophia calms the crowd before she begins. My friends, it's time for us to act. We are strong. We are united. We are many. Our cause is just. Her words are met with cries of support, and your voice joins them. Sophia smiles, but there is still a hard-controlled edge in her eyes. 1 month from now, the Empire will hold the ritual Purification in St. Ignatius' Square. Mages and witches who refuse to repent and wear collars will be murdered in a public execution. The Church is preparing carefully for this. But these witches never asked for this. They were branded at birth. Our lot is to suffer, but theirs is something far worse. The Inquisition's collar takes away everything. Your family, your estate, your freedom, your will. A mage becomes a weapon for the Inquisition. They are stripped of their lot and placed in this world. Mages are the true lawless. A witch's collar is the worst prison of all. We must set them free. Their freedom will mark the beginning of freedom for the entire Empire. I do get what you're saying, but I do kind of feel like some members might not be too keen on helping out with this, considering that witches are known to be even less than the commoners. Especially being dangerous, is what they would view it. The cries of approval die down, replaced by a growing mumble of confusion. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Nobody in the room wants to openly defy the Inquisition. Sophia raises her hand, her eyes glinting in the reflected golden candlelight. The room falls silent. We are not going to wage war against the Inquisition. What we are going to do is hold a march to support the mages. This will be our statement. We will seek the support of Patriarch Junius Diamant. He says that those who wield magic have the same rights as anyone else in the Empire. He seeks to give mages the freedom to find their own way to the twins. We are going to show the Patriarch that we have heard his words and are ready to openly heed his call. I am a mage myself. He took off my collar and allowed me to choose my own path. I am going to give every mage and witch the same chance. Nobody ever chooses to be born with magic, but mages have the right to choose to abandon their power or follow the twins. Our cause is just. Sophia lets the others speak their mind. Some fully support the march. Others hesitate, unsure of what to do. There is also a small group of people who reject the idea outright. Magic is evil, they said. Witches are dangerous. Supporting witches means defying the twins. Sophia leans over them. Angry sparks dance in her eyes. I am a witch. Yet you followed me. You chose to trust me. There's no time left for doubt. If you are not ready to walk this road, it would be best for you to leave the Lawless right away. Several people leave the hall, some of them ashamed, others grim. They all get a parting message from Sophia. Her cry rings through the basement and out onto the streets. You will tell them nothing. We can't necessarily trust that, now can we? Everyone else grows quiet. This is the first time anyone has seen the leader of the Lawless shout like that. Sophia drops back into her chair and asks everyone except for you and 3 others to leave. You know these 3 Lawless. Sophia uses them for special assignments. You get ready to hear what she has to say. The goal of our march is to get Junius Diamant's attention. We need his patronage. It is essential that he hear about us and support our movement. Without his aid and influence, our fight is doomed. With that, Sophia starts giving orders. She sends a young man to get collars, tells a lively girl to gather people and prepare banners, and instructs a lean Legion soldier to plan out the shortest route and the best location to begin the march. Then, Sophia dismisses them. It is only the 2 of you now. The basement room you use as a meeting hall grows empty and quiet, and you finally notice how tiny and exhausted Sophia looks. Dark rings encircle her eyes, and her skin is gray as parchment. She works so hard for your sake. After a moment of quiet, Sophia speaks to you about the Imperial Legion. I don't want to scare the others too soon, but but I think you know what I'm going to say. If they have trained legionnaires guarding the square instead of prefecture gendarmes, the soldiers won't stand on ceremony. Some people might die during this march. You spend half the night planning escape routes in case you have to run for your lives. By the time the plan is finally ready, both of you are on the verge of nodding off. There's one more thing Sophia wants to discuss, however. Many people have joined the Lawless over the past few weeks, but we still don't have enough members. We need to attract other people on the streets in order to make our march stronger. People need to see that we aren't just misfits. Sophia has 2 ideas for attracting more people to the march, but you only have enough time to implement one of them. You could call upon the commoners who support the doctrine of Patriarch Photis to join the march. Plenty of people in Eterna had to suffer at the hands of the Inquisition back when the new faith first emerged. Those who rejected the lots were treated like heretics and punished accordingly. Alternatively, you could seek support from the clergy and the nobles. Even among them, many have relatives and friends who have suffered at the hands of the Inquisition. Sophia looks up from her papers. The circles around her eyes are even darker now. She is barely reacting to the world around her. She is but a shadow of the confident young leader of the Lawless you saw speak at the meeting. She lights her pipe and throws herself back into her chair, her eyes half-lidded, looking utterly exhausted. It seems this decision is yours. Mobilize the commoners, you agree to mobilize the lowborn estate for the march. Mobilize the noble and clergy, you decide to mobilize nobles and priests who have suffered at the hands of the Inquisition. Show Sophia your support. Put work aside in order to help Sophia regain her strength. I will decide to mobilize the nobles and clergy. We've already done a lot with mobilizing the commoners, but I think it's time we try and get people who are in power to understand our cause, and to show that they themselves have suffered at the hands of the Inquisition, and take up the mantle of joining the Lawless. So let's mobilize the nobles and the clergy. Because if we are to be truly Lawless, we need to have everyone involved, is my thinking. You spend more time writing a list of people who might show support for the cause of the Lawless. You compose the invitation for the march, carefully crafting each individual letter. You only choose priests who have criticized the lots or sided with Patriarch Junius at least once. As for the nobles, you only chose those who lost family members accused of sorcery. There are only a few of them. It takes you and Sophia until early morning to slowly gather information about the arrests of nobles accused of sorcery. Sophia rejects some of the names outright. I don't trust that father. His brother got executed, sure, but everybody knows they were never on good terms. Levette's out too. He spoke in support of Patriarch Junius, but he'll never march with the lowborn. You agree. The march must succeed, even if it means sending out a few fewer invitations. Sophia has barely enough strength left to smile as you say goodnight at dawn. Go get some sleep, Brante. There won't be much time for that in the weeks to come. Diplomacy +1, okay, and now I have +1 theology as a follower now, so I could still get that prophet thing. We will just have to see. You watch her walk away in the morning light, amazed at how strong she is. A few years ago, she was just an ordinary girl next door. Year 1136, summer, the Feast of the Air. The capital's preparing for a great celebration. The coming of age of Gerian Tempest, heir to the throne. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind. The streets are scrubbed clean and the scent of flowers fill the air. You too set some time aside to join the celebration. It is not often that you can see the ruling family of the Empire firsthand. The celebration day comes and Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy march in front, lined up in columns, and other citizens follow suit. You join the parade around the tail of the procession. Before long, it reaches the square in front of the Emperor's palace. The columns of college students and academy cadets come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with their mottos. The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. Then his voice echoes across the square. You can hear him easily, even from so far away. Uther Tempest II. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service to the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle by my grace. Oh, so that is still up there. Oh well. The nobles-to-be cheer the Emperor's words, but then Archduke Monroe steps onto the balcony, and their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent. So he's still around despite basically committing an act of treason. Everyone here remembers all too well how the ruler Monia tried to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arknian gentry. He is a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor. Hail your Emperor, common folk. Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Arknian with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd that Prince Jerian, heir to the throne, student of Cornelius' promise and the hope of the common estate. To the left of Jerian is his younger brother Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he is seeing. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the nobles-to-be roar as one. All hail Prince Jerian! Are the heirs of an empire known as princes? Probably. Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Arknian, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Gaius Tempest. Long live Prince Jerian, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and again you have proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Jerian, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Jerian also remains still, listening to every reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monroe briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessings. You may leave now. Commotion and murmurs spreads over the crowd as some of the nobles-to-be refuse to follow Archduke Monroe's orders. There are shouts heard here and there. The law! We asked for the law! The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade, but tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out of the square. The commoners are now running left and right. You too have to move away. This quickly quells the commotion in the square, and the cavalry withdraws. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again. Archduke Monroe stands by his side. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. My subjects, I can see how overjoyed you are for Prince Jerian, but your show of reverence and gratitude was clear enough. Now obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises of the Tempest dynasty that has given you so much. Okay, I get Monroe is supposed to be a powerful character in your dynasty, but this is twice that Monroe has decided to act out of his own accord. No matter how powerful he is, you have to find some way to rein him in, otherwise he's basically able to do whatever he wants, Uther Tempest II. So, if you really want to maintain your power, I do highly suggest that he does fall in line in one way or another, otherwise he might just have your dynasty cut short, if you understand my meaning. The square obediently lines up in columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and they resume the festive parade through the city streets. Glory to Emperor Uther! Glory to Prince Jerian! Power -1, Overseer in power. Yep, that sounds about right. The Emperor is also only Emperor in name. Again, I don't exactly know why this is still talking about Magra when we are not in Magra, we are in the Imperial capital of Eterna. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events and work in Magra and writes very little about the family. It makes me proud that I have managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we host. He's already made several crucial acquaintances. But Gloria has a different opinion of Stefan. She thinks your older brother is taking more and more after grandfather. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around me, and we barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemaid. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. It makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day, he told me he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. He accompanies me every time. Your sister and younger brother write about Mother, too. And they say the thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mention her steps echoing in the halls in the middle of the night. There is one more thing Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lowly commoner to make her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. Well, fuck you too, Stefan. Wait, what? How did I lose relation with Gloria? Oh, I lost relation with everyone. Oh. March of the Collars. This is the morning you have all been preparing for. One of the houses in downtown Eterna is packed with a crowd of people. Everybody puts collars on their necks. There are not enough for everyone, so the rest of them cover their necks with scarves and belts and anything else that looks dark against the skin. There are so many faces, even faces you have never seen before. People of all estates have come here today. You flow out onto the streets. People keep coming to join the crowd even as you start walking. There are shouts in the crowd now. Our cause is just! These words fill you with confidence, help you remain composed. Everyone is smiling. You march in the front row. The feeling is indescribable. Change is coming. The square is already covered with stacks of firewood for the pyres. You see people in collars tied to wooden stakes with inquisitors busy around them. The fiery execution is almost ready to begin. Your path is blocked. Imperial Legion soldiers stand guard on all streets leading to the square. The crowd keeps pushing. There are cries on the streets now. Mages and witches are children of the gods. Give the witches back their lives. Down with the shackles of the lots. I feel honored to hear such cries. If only my brethren and sisters of the past heard these words. The cries of the lotless fill St. Ignatius Square. A legionnaire yells over the mob and orders you to stand aside before they draw their swords. And then you hear a scream right next to you. We've got them outnumbered! We're going through them! A voice rings in your head and fills you with fury and faith in victory. And you run, and you run. Run straight at the legionnaire's sharp sword. But suddenly a hand catches you and pulls you back. You see Sophia now, her eyes burning with golden light. The ecstatic, furious mob throws around her and toward the unnerved legionnaire. Sophia's face looks inhuman now, her grin predatory. the legionnaire swings his sword at the man Mob, but he is quickly knocked off his feet. His fellow soldiers guarding the square lock their shields together and draw their swords. There is a look of bewilderment in the Inquisitor's eyes. It seems none of them expected such frenzy. Sophia leads the attack. Set the sufferers free! Junius Diamant is on our side! The twins are our shields! Any idea of a peaceful march is now thrown into the wind. Sophia is about to send the Lotless against the lines of legionnaires. Only moments are left until they strike. You have to be there, in the front lines. Or will you try to stop her and avoid further bloodshed? There is still time. Or will you execute the plan yourself and free the captives from the funeral piles on their own? Well, unfortunately, I don't have enough scheming. Hold Sophia back. Sophia's not trusting of me, so I guess begin the assault. You repeat Sophia's cry and set her plan into motion. Repeat Sophia's furious cry. Our cause is just. Set the Lotless free. Protect the people. This is how we pay for our freedom. Our freedom and their freedom. Other voices start repeating your call and it begins a chant. The beating of a living drum. Our cause is just. Our cause is just. Our cause is just. The mob tramples the legionnaires. You keep pushing relentlessly, even as people start dying at their swords. The shield-bearing ranks break and scatter. The Inquisition is gone, but the sky is already filled with smoke as the pyres begin to burn. The screams of mages burning alive fill the square. People are trying to snuff one of the fires with their own clothes, but it is too late. A woman with golden hair chokes on the smoke before you can save her. You see several people freeing another mage from a burning stake. Horrible burns covering his legs. The square starts smelling of hot fat and seared meat. The mob is loud, but thundering hooves and clanging steel is louder, and you hear the Legion cavalry advancing to the square. You scream to Sophia, but she can barely hear what you are saying. But when she does, she nods and orders a retreat. There is chaos in the squares, and pushing and pulling, and the sounds of clanging metal. You run away and through the maze of streets. You do not even bother to look behind you to see if there is anyone in pursuit. You run for as long as you can until your foot catches a loose brick on the road, and you almost smash your teeth in. Only then do you stop. It is quiet. You do not recognize this part of Eterna. There is not a soul around you. It is hard to believe that this city can contain both this tranquility and the blood-stained chaos of a few minutes ago. You find a flop house on a nearby street and rent a dirty cubbyhole of a room. No questions asked. You pay for a few days' stay at once. It's a good thing you kept your money on you today. Then you walk upstairs to the room and collapse on the bed. A wave of shakedowns and arrests washes over the capital over the next few days. You wait it out in the room. There is no news about the Lotless. It is as though none of it ever happened. You go to St. Ignatius Square only 3 weeks later. The cobblestones are covered with soot, and you see spots of dry blood in the bushes nearby. You find several broken collars. Alis, True Death. Youthful actress and singer, known as the Golden Voice. She quickly became famous in every inn in Eterna for her irresistibly enchanting looks. She came to the capital along with Jean, who used to be an acolyte of the Temple of the Silver Tree. Our cause is just. Valor, +1. Still weak in battle, but I have more of it. The march in defense of the witches ended in chaos and carnage in the streets of Eterna. The Overseer of Magra. 2 major events take place while you are busy living your life. Firstly, Cornelius Tempus is no longer the great Chancellor of the Empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Agarius Monroe. Really? Are you trying to have your throne overturned? Are you trying to be overthrown, Uther Tempus II? Well, I suppose he's trying to implement the strategy keep your friends close and your enemies closer, but I'm kinda getting the feeling that this won't end well considering the recent actions, and that Monroe seems to have a bit more power than you do at this point. The same Monroe who sought to shut down the college, the most powerful lord in the realm, finally convinced the emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lower-born. Now the policies of the empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new great chancellor will destroy the imperial code of laws and other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumors among the people. They say the new great chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempus, the other brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke, after all. It makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now, this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Milanides is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the Emperor's court say this is a stratagem by the Arcanian gentry, who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Milanides will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for the future. Only one thing is clear. Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes. Okay, so there's more power now and more order. The trap springs. Weeks pass, then months, and not a word from the Lotless. You have to resort to odd jobs to survive. How much longer will you have to wait? Your hopes of seeing the Lotless return wane more and more with each passing day. You still recall the loss and bloodshed of St. Ignatius' Square with pain. What happened to the others? How many of you managed to get away? And more importantly, what happened to Sophia? More days pass. You hear nothing. You keep returning to the same familiar streets, glancing at the walls and windows, waiting anxiously for a sign or a familiar face. Then one day, you finally see a sign. A yellow towel hanging outside the window. Meyer's window. Outside the widow Meyer's window. That means tonight. You return to the basement. Only a few people are there. You look into their faces. There are fewer of them now. Some of the Lotless could not bring themselves to come, and others died back in the square. Sophia sits at the opposite end of the room, like an actor on a stage. Her pipe in her hand. A golden ray of sunset has just reached through the basement window to glint in her hair. People are sitting at the benches or leaning against the wall. You sit where you normally do, in the front row, almost in the middle. There are voices and there are questions. Why did our meeting stop? Where has Sophia been all this time? What do we do now? Sophia stands up and looks straight at you, a golden light glowing in her eyes. I want to ask you all for one last favor. Please, for your own sake, don't do anything foolish. The golden light in Sophia's eyes come alive and flies through the hall, enveloping the others in a vicious warmth. Your eyelids grow heavy. Your mind becomes tangled and slow to react. You can barely stand and your legs feel like they're made out of rubber. The people in the front row slump to the floor. There are cries of surprise and confusion from the back rows. Then you hear heavy, stomping steps. Armed knights clad in black armor enter the basement. The Lotless at the door draw their weapons and are killed instantly. A voice full of steel rings through the room. In the name of Emperor Uther II, you are all under arrest. Your heart is racing, but the rays of sunlight will not release you from the stupor. You can do nothing but watch as your united brotherhood perishes. This feels like a nightmare. Some run for the tiny windows. Others get down on their knees and surrender immediately. Others stand or sit still, unsure of what to do. Your former unity is shattered. People you used to call friends and allies now kneel in submission, and those who do not kneel are quickly cut down. There are screams and flashes of steel and then a merciless cry. Surrender or face execution. Sophia is no longer glowing. Her eyelids are red. She tries to maintain her composure, but you can see her lower lip trembling. Your eyes meet. She looks away. Sophia. But how? Why? Everything ends as quickly as it began. Most of you are arrested. Many are killed. Everyone bound by Sophia's spell is swiftly bound at the wrists and placed against the wall. You know most of you would rather die fighting, and you would, if you were not bound and gagged by magic. They took your choice away from you. These people are well armed, well trained, but you see no signs on their armor. They are not the Legion nor the Prefecture, nor the Inquisition. Your worst fear has come true. These are soldiers from the secret chancellery. Your body is bound by magic, so strong you cannot even twitch. You are trapped along with the rest of the Lotless. There is no escape. Your eyes close. You have to muster all your willpower to drive slumber away. Do you have enough willpower to break Sophia's spell, even for a moment? And even if you do, will it even help you to resist? Break free and distract the secret chancellery soldiers in order to give some of the Lotless a chance to escape. Sophia has betrayed you all. You urge your brothers to resist her. I will create a distraction. You clench your teeth so hard they screech, and do your best to stand up. It takes so much strength that you scream, but you finally break free of the spell that binds you, and you stand up. Neither Sophia nor the armored mercenaries expected that to happen. You take advantage of the confusion and knock down the secret chancellery knight at the door. Then you run for an oil lamp at the wall and smash it against the floor. A wave of fire spreads quickly. Several men in black armor lunge at you. You are bound again, not by magic, but by heavy stomping boots. You hear screams all around you. Halt! Stop them! Your distraction gave some of the Lotless enough time to break the spell and escape through the door and the small windows. The leader's commanding voice stops the panic. Let them flee. We'll find them later if we're ordered to. Tie up the rest. They tie you up, tightening the knot around your wrist so hard your fingers turn white, and kick you in the gut again for good measure. Sophia leans over you. She whispers so quietly you could barely hear, and yet every word rings loudly in your mind. You did all you could, Brante. Do not resist them now. This is the only way I can save your life. You are dragged outside and thrown into a windowless wagon along with the other Lotless. Soon the wagon shifts, then starts moving. You are being taken somewhere, so I gain +1 relation with Sophia. I don't know why she... didn't I... Oh well. She is indifferent now, so that's something. I gain some scheming, but I lose more willpower. I'm still inexperienced in scheming. Attack on the Lotless. The secret society of the Lotless was struck down by the secret chancellery. Many of the conspirators were captured. Recruitment. Days are followed by nights. Nights are followed by new days. You can only tell because of the light coming in through the tiny window near the ceiling. You have spent several months in this cramped cell. It is 5 steps long, 2 steps wide. These walls felt oppressive during your first weeks, but people can get used to anything eventually. They feed you twice a day. They do not answer any questions. They take away the food if you scream too loudly. You think of your family often. How would they react if they heard you were facing execution for being part of an underground movement? Mother would die from grief. Execution always brings true death. Father's hair would turn white. Gloria would cry, Stefan would rage, and Nathan would become even more isolated. Sophia, how could she do such a thing? She said the Lotless were her family. She insisted so much on freeing the innocent mages. She urged you to support Patriarch Junius in the new faith. Sophia said all that. And she stood there and watched her fellow Lotless get killed and arrested. Their lives lost. Years of work undone. And destroyed. Driven mad with rage, you punch the stone wall. Blood splatters from your knuckles. It grows dark again. The lock on the door squeaks and the cell opens. They carry you out by the arms, but you no longer resist. We're sick of this. It's no use anymore. They seat you in the interrogation room. There is a man sitting across from you. Plain but well-tailored jacket. Pale-faced with a chiseled feature. Thick black mustache. Black eyes watching your every move from their deep sockets. When did the secret chancellery first start watching? When did you all become pawns in their game? The nobleman keeps studying you with utter disdain. Even grandfather never looked at you with such scorn. He wears a pendant in the shape of a wheel. His gloved hands rest atop a table with a walking stick leaning against it. Behind him stands Sophia, her head down. Advisor of the Secret Chancellery, a lesser-known but very powerful official entrusted with the task of protecting the Empire from unrest and dangerous plots of all kinds. The guise of an unassuming nobleman of the sword conceals a man who wields incredible authority and controls spy networks that span the entire Empire. I see. No wonder you could have known so soon. I am Baron Philippe Elfero, advisor to the Secret Chancellery, but I have a dislike for titles. Call me Sir Philippe. That will suffice. I know everything about you, young Brante. Your father and grandfather are loyal servants of the Empire. Your brother is a noble by birth. Where did your life take such a turn? How did you stoop so low? The advisor to the Secret Chancellery shakes his head, presenting you with a clearly false smile of sympathy. You feel like a student in front of a strict teacher, but you will not leave this room with a mere flogging. You young people don't even realize what you're doing. Openly defying the church and its teachings. Openly speaking out against the law. And when Junius Diamant gives you the order, you wreak havoc in the capital. Assault priests and free apostate witches sentenced to execution. Isn't that right, Sophia? Yes, Sir Philippe. It all happened exactly as you said. You shiver with disbelief. There was no order from Junius Diamant. That is not true. It never happened. You look at Sophia, but she will not look at you. Her eyes are only on Baron Elfero, and he looks at you with a fatherly smile and a ruthless gaze. You are trapped. Now his words will be the truth, and nobody will ever believe anything you say. If only I could be like you, young Brante. A mere boy who thinks he could change the Empire all on his own. But I suppose it's a good thing I'm not that naive. Otherwise I'd be in your shoes right now, and you'd be dealing with someone far worse than me. There are many things in this world that do not sit well with me either. But unlike your youthful rebellion, my goals are quite clear. My wish is to save the Empire, to save it from the likes of you. People who reject tradition and the laws given to us by the gods. Fools who seek to set the mages free. Practitioners of the new faith that is destroying the church from within. Even if their leader is a patriarch and an archnean from an ancient dynasty. Few know my methods, and that is why they are effective. Thanks to Sophia and this secret society of hers, we have already managed to gather all the dangerous insurgents together and summarily deal with them in one fell swoop. The heretic Junius Diamant is next in line, but that is none of your concern. Let us speak of your fate now. Philippe produces a folder full of notes and pulls it on the table in front of you. The folder bears your name. Your hands shake as you flip through the pages. How you infiltrated the college during the siege. How you helped recruit more people for the lawless. The articles you wrote for that newspaper. The advice you gave Sophia. Your preparations for the March of the Collars. Your life over the past 3 years is laid down on these pages. Just the records of your presence at the lawless meetings is enough to sentence you to execution. But that is the least of what you have done over these years. Your stomach churns. Do not expect your father's authority as a judge to save you from this, Brante. He is just a second-generation judge. A brief note from me and you will face true death, and then your father and the rest of your peculiar little family as well. What say you? Is there any reason I shouldn't just do that? Sir Philippe, He strikes Sophia swiftly and painfully. She doubles over and clutches at her stomach, gasping for breath. Slowly, Philippe returns the walking stick to its previous position. His gaze never leaves you. I don't remember giving you permission to speak. But very well. I grant it now. Speak. Sophia finally catches her breath and leans against the wall. She looks at you for the first time since the interrogation began. Sir Philippe, Brante grew up in Anizote like me. He is very bright and has proven himself to be quite capable since his very first days with the Lawless. You will find my descriptions of him in my report. He will serve your cause in Magra well. You do not look at Sophia. Her betrayal is the reason you ended up here. But now she is putting herself at risk to save your life. Philippe stares you down, his chin resting on his fist. Proved himself, you say? Then how about he proves himself to me as well? There are only two ways out of the courtroom. Out of this room, Brante. One leads to the gallows, the other makes you my loyal servant. Thank your childhood friend for this mercy. I will give you one chance and only one, to prove that you are useful to the secret chancellery. I'm listening. At wit, Philippe. Not good enough in manipulation. Prove that I'm useful. Not good enough in scheming. Have done everything. This once, I will submit. You have no strength left to fight. Betrayal is the only choice you have left. If you want to live, you have to prove your loyalty. Excellent, Brante. I see you've had enough time to accept your new position. And besides, those people mean nothing to you now. I have high hopes for you. You start talking. First names, last names, code names. You mentioned Arthur Murray, who supported you with money after he was freed. The Sachs family, who welcomed you into their home. And a handful of other names. Sophia is silent and emotionless as you speak, but her lips are pressed tightly. You have a fine memory, Brante. You just might make a good spy after all. And you've already learned your lesson. Serve the man who takes care of you. I have no use for the Lawless now. Soon we will find them all and deal with the rest of those ragamuffins. Color me impressed, but if you disappoint me, so much the worse for you. Now mark my words. From this moment on, you are my secret servant. This is your only lot in life now, as it were. You will obey me and no one else. And do not even think of mentioning the secret chancellery to anyone. You and Sophia will return to Anizote. Tell everyone you earned a small fortune in the capital or made wealthy friends. You're a slippery young man. Just think of something believable, will you? Once you're there, open a print shop. Don't waste too much time on it. This job will be your cover to keep you looking busy in public. My people will pay you visits from time to time and bring you instructions from me. I have big plans for your desert province. My every instruction must be carried out immediately. If you ever fail or try to fool me, your family will suffer along with you. Here, this should be enough for the print shop. Now you have something to bring back home. With a chuckle, Philippe drops a hefty pouch at your feet. It falls like a rock and makes a sound that only gold can make. Before you could say anything, he turns around and leaves. Once you are left alone with Sophia, she finally lets her emotions rise to the surface. How could you do such a thing? How could you betray those who are still free after everything I've done to keep them safe? Do you think it was easy to watch my friends being killed? Nobody would have left the room alive if it wasn't for me. Yes, I bound everyone I could with my spell, because otherwise you would have died trying to fight back. I hoped I could get everyone out of there alive, but I only got you out. Then suddenly Sophia's rage subsides. Her hand comes to rest on your shoulder. I know how you feel right now, but it's all Philippe's fault. He starved you in prison, and you're only human. And now Philippe is about to eliminate the rest of the Lawless. We can do nothing to save them now. No, we can't. And as for you and me, Philippe has us on his leash now. We'll have to survive like this. We can't run from him. If I don't do what I'm told, he'll have me collared and sent back to the House of Humility to be an obedient, soulless puppet. But we have each other now. We can do this. Don't lose hope. As of right now, Sophia, I have done wrongs before, but I don't think you, at the moment, can have my trust. A jailer enters the room before you can say anything else. You are led out of prison and into the yard. You enter the light of the sun and the shining pillar. A carriage takes you back to the flophouse where you took refuge after the March of Callers. The driver kindly informs you he has orders to take you back to Anizote in 3 days. You start packing. It all feels like a dream. Everything will happen exactly as Philippe said. You have nowhere to run. If you try to flee, they will find you. And they will find your family first. In the blessed Arcanian Empire, there is no way to start over with a clean slate. The twins of the secret chancellery see all. Your months in prison are the past, but can you truly call yourself free now? You will be going home soon. Collapse of the Lawless. Secret society is betrayed. Path of the Lawless. You fail to protect the Lawless. The Empire utterly destroys the secret society. Agent of the Secret Chancery. You now serve the Secret Chancery. Your life and fate are in the hands of Advisor Felipe El Ferro. Year 1137. Winter. Diamant stands trial. Just before you leave the capital, you overhear something unusual on the street. Junius Diamant, Patriarch of Astinia, and one of the leaders of the New Faith will stand trial before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamant was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused of forming the Lawless, a dangerous secret society based in the imperial capital. Members of this society have been assaulting inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the holy law. Now the Patriarch must face the Holy Tribunal of the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow to the New Faith, and the end of days for Junius Diamant himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to rid the land of this unwelcome Patriarch who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It is no less stunning than the accusation. These words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring this accusation against me in person. But I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of their responsibility for this slander against me, my flock, and the Diamant dynasty and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial before the Holy Tribunal, but I will face them on my own land and on my terms. Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Arcania. Parishes of the New Faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamant. The Church of the Twin Gods is about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert the coming schism. Their now official stance is that Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply more cautious judgment during any further trials against the followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of Patriarch Photis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamant has been averted, but the divide between within the church is only deepening. The new faith has directly challenged the old faith. The result is uncertain, depending on who you ask. Some say Junius Diamant all but pled guilty. Others believe the Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the church as well as the Inquisition is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like one of the secret chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Astinia and co-leader of the new faith remains at his post. But for how long? And how will the old faith and the new faith clash next? A farewell to the capital. The Reglata and Talrina rivers meet outside the city walls. You have barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze blowing in your face, and the bright noon sun hangs above the shining pillar. Your stay in Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here a boy full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations and a desire to live your life as you saw fit. Where did your youthful ambition lead you in the end? Eterna never became your home to you, and it was a place of turmoil and disappointment. You tried to change the course of history, but history broke you in half and threw you away. You were too young and inexperienced. Your entire life was wrecked by a single decision. What future could you possibly have now? All your hopes are buried here in Eterna, and you must leave this city behind. Your hands clench into fists as you think about it. You will have to live two lives. A public life as the owner of a print shop, and a secret life as a spy for the secret chancellery. It is the only path fate has in store for you now. Mother used to say that humility and hard work are the strength of the common folk. Each new blow brings less pain and teaches you to get back up more quickly. All you have to do is walk this path without showing weakness. But you strayed from the path of humility and graduated from the school of hard knocks. You learned to lie and manipulate others to survive, and hide and act in secret. As a teacher, Sophia had no equal. But what are you supposed to do now? Will you accept your role in the schemes of the secret chancellery since it means well for the Empire? Or will you have what it takes to find another way, and use your new position for schemes of your own? Many things must have changed back home by now. You recall Gloria particularly fondly, the way she used to rebel all the time and defy her lot to write poems. She always fought hard to be herself, no matter what other people or the law said. Gloria was the only one who supported your decision to find your own path. You want to see her so badly and tell her all the news and share the joy of your return with her. You have to get her a gift from the capital. Something that will matter to your sister while there is still time. You decide to buy her a book she could never find in Anizote. You start combing through the markets. You go to 5 bookstores, but you see nothing suitable. One last shop, and then it is time to leave, you promise yourself. The store is marked by an unremarkable sign on an unremarkable building. You enter a dark room full of bookshelves. On one of these shelves, you see a small book bound in black leather. The name of the author, Char Melanidis, is stamped in gold. You peek inside. How strange. This is not a biography of the rebellious Duke and his rebellion. It is not even a study of his legacy. It is a book of his poems. You thumb through the pages and realize that Gloria would enjoy this book very much. The poetry of Char Melanidis is about love and struggle and the strength of will, and the drive to keep fighting even when all hope is lost. The book costs almost nothing. It leaves the bookstore with you. You leave the capital the morning after, The carriage hired by the secret chancellery awaits you at the door. Eterna, the city where you spent 4 years, slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You do not know. The book, A Gift for Gloria, is in your hands. Homecoming, year 1137. After 4 years in the capital, you return to your home city in Anizote. The years of your youth has come to an end. Time has come to leave the capital behind and return to your family and new business in your hometown of Anizote. The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this life for yourself? Or was it your destiny all along? Ever since your childhood years, all you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. Arrival of the capital, path of the lotless, bond of friendship, march of the callers, attack on the lotless, collapse of the lotless, agent of the secret chancellery, and homecoming. Personal qualities at the end of this chapter will keep them, you will keep them for the rest of your life. Diplomacy, unknown. Theology, follower. Manipulation, naive. Valor, weak in battle. Eloquence, tongue-tied. Inexperienced in scheming. Time of peace. And this will have to be where we end the video for now, so I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Give that like button a stab if you did. Subscribe if you want more death in your life. Be sure the bell is tolling for thee. Until next time, rest in peace. Farewell. Enjoyed today's video? Well, there's plenty more for you to enjoy here, and if you also want to support this small channel, then there is also my Ko-fi, which is available, as well as a Twitter thread that gives you my commissioning info, and if you'd like some traditional art or literature, feel free to DM me on Twitter. Thank you for enjoying the video and for your viewership.